their homes and the shock the twisters left behind.
And a rocky ride for passengers on a flight from Tampa to Houston. Several people are rushed to the hospital after their plane experiences turbulence.
We're going to start with the severe weather threat that's happening right now. Good afternoon. I'm Rachel McNeil.
I'm Ian Page, and we are getting some amazing images from you on these storms. Check out this golf ball size hail that fell on houses and cars in Alvin. The pictures are simply incredible, and you can see just how huge this hail was. And Local 2 Chief Meteorologist Frank Billings, who joins us in the Severe Weather Center. Frank, what everyone wants to know is, where are these storms headed?
You know what? Right along the coast right now from the west end of Galveston Island clear to Palacios. And this is a strong line. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue for this line.
This is our weatherman here on our NBC station. They just got an exact track radar.
Size hail, and that's what we're seeing across the area, continuing to produce a lot of lightning as well. And you can see there from Jamaica Beach to Lake Jackson to Sweeney, big storms right on down toward Palacios to Seadrift. Looks like that will continue to move right across the bay there. There's the warning in that dark, bright yellow. It continues right up to the coastal counties. I want to zoom in here a little bit to Jamaica Beach, the Bay Harbor, Sea Isle, Redfish Cove. These storms are really very strong. A lot of lightning with all of these. 255 strikes there in just the last 30 minutes. 24 to 2,500 across the entire coast. I'll have an update straight ahead.
Frank, thank you very much. And you can, of course, track the storms as well as get Frank's forecast around the clock on justweather.com. And now to the latest on those Texas tornadoes. Victims in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are picking up the pieces after a string of twisters raked across the region yesterday.
The damage is extensive. Several people were injured, but miraculously, no one was killed. NBC's Jay Gray is joining us now live. And Jay, the damage behind you is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and it stretches for miles, Rachel, Ian, and like you said, amazing that no one lost their lives in this storm. But look, this is the kind of mess so many are dealing with right now. The downed trees, the limbs scattered everywhere, shingles scattered with it as well. Take a look behind me, and you can see this tree that was thrown over 100 yards and into this home, and again, the roof torn apart here after multiple tornadoes touched down. The day after, survivors are working through what's left of their homes and the shock of what happened here.
I don't know that it's really sunk in quite yet.
Miles of debris stretch out across dozens of neighborhoods in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Hundreds of homes and lives torn apart. But through the tears and all of this rubble, there are amazing stories of survival. This is all that's left of Chris Wilson's home. As he looks at the stairs that once led to a second floor, he can't help but think about what could have been.
My wife could have been in the bedroom. As you see, it's gone. My son could have been upstairs in his room. That room is gone.
But they are not. Somehow, no one was killed during the violent storms.
Everything worked in the city. The sirens worked, the early warnings worked, and that's why I think everybody's alive today.
Including, in at least 2 cases,
oh my goodness,
a couple of best friends reunited with their owners.
I'm so glad to see you. Oh, I'm so worried about him.
Concern stretches across the region right now. Frustrated residents still unable to return to their battered neighborhoods.
We can't go check our house out. Why we got to stand side the street down here when we can be checking out and see what's going on with our property?
Officials say even though the skies are clear, there's still a real danger in some of the hardest hit areas.
We have to make sure that safety is the first order. You have no power, limited utilities. There's not a lot that you can do at this point in time.
Even though there's so much to do to try and get things back to the way they were before the storms. And all of this damage and debris evidence, that's going to take an awfully long time. Live in Kennedale, I'm Jay Gray. Rachel, back to you now.
All right, Jay, thank you very much. Now, our own Ryan Korsgaard is also in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Coming up at 5, you're going to hear from a mother who was trapped inside of her home during the storms, and now her family rushed to rescue her.
And now to a breaking news alert for you outside of southwest Houston. Sky 2 is over the scene at Bel Air and Sinot Road, where there are reports that a driver may have been pointing a gun at a school bus. We're told students on board that bus were yelling out, saying the man had a gun. It's still not clear whether he was pointing it at them or not. Police say a man and women have been taken into custody. No word yet on whether a gun was found tonight. We, of course, will continue to stay on top of the story and bring you the latest as soon as we get it. Well, hundreds of flights were canceled at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport because of those tornadoes we showed you that whipped through North Texas. Several planes ended up with hail damage, and now the airlines, well, they're trying to play catch-up and get people rebooked. Local 2's Mark Boyle has more from Hobby Airport on the mess at the airport.
Dozens of passengers here at Hobby spent the morning on the telephone or speaking with ticket agents here at the airport because of canceled flights. We spoke with some families who now have to fly all across the country to get to their final destination. Laura Carrion and her kids were scheduled to fly from Hobby to San Diego this morning, arriving on the West Coast by noon. But because American Eagle canceled the first leg on her flight, her day is turning out to be a nightmare. They are trying to get to a relative's boot camp graduation by tomorrow and now have to hop across the country to get there.
We're going to go all the way to Atlanta and then make it to San Diego after midnight.
American Airlines says 424 flights were canceled today in and out of Dallas-Fort Worth Airport because planes were damaged in yesterday's storms. Today, only a handful of flights canceled and or delayed at Hobby. Al Floyden showed up to Hobby early this morning to avoid the expected long lines.
This is just a day trip for me to New Orleans and back, and I have a meeting scheduled for 10 o'clock, so if I'm late, it's going to mess up my day.
Meanwhile, the carry-ons will arrive in San Diego more than 12 hours after originally planned, but they'll be getting to the graduation in time. Now, even though dealing with canceled flights can be painstaking, they say the American workers were as helpful as possible.
They were actually trying to find a flight for all three of us to get there, and so she worked really hard, and she found,
And it's not just departures. These are the arrival flights, several canceled out of Hobby today. Now, airport officials expect things to slowly get back to normal later this afternoon. Reporting at Hobby Airport, I'm Mark Boyle, KPRC Local 2.
Well, you can check your flight status before you head out the door by heading to click2houston.com and looking for the airport delays story.
Well, some tense and downright frightening moments for passengers on board a United Airlines flight from Tampa to Houston. The plane experienced heavy turbulence over Louisiana. At least 12 people were injured, including at least 2 crew members. Local 2's Courtney Gilmore has the details from Bush Intercontinental Airport.
According to the Houston Fire Department, 12 people are injured, 8 were rushed to the hospital, and of those 8, 1 was a child. Now, when we arrived, we saw the entire tarmac behind me lit up. Emergency crews were there. Our cameras were also inside the terminal as passengers were rushed off the plane into ambulances. At least 2 crew members were seen wearing neck braces as they were wheeled out of the airport. Of the 146 passengers on board the 1727 United flight leaving Tampa heading here to Houston, 12 people were injured and 8 were rushed to the hospital. According to the airport officials, the flight had heavy turbulence as the plane was flying over Louisiana. HFD called in 7 ambulances and 2 advanced life support units. According to emergency crews, the 12 people that were injured had minor injuries. They were still waiting to hear back from United about the events surrounding the turbulence. Reporting at Bush, Courtney Gilmore, KPRC Local 2.
A Pasadena high school was on lockdown this morning after police got word that a student might have been in danger. According to police, a man planned to use a stolen rifle to settle a score with a student. Rayburn High was put on lockdown just after 9 a.m. Police arrested the man at Hector Street and recovered that rifle. Local 2 investigator Steve Medine is tracking down more details. He's going to have them tonight at 5 o'clock. Well, an argument turns deadly when a woman stabs a man and leaves him for dead.
Deputies found the victim dead in a Specs Park.